Brendan, thank you so much for taking the time to chat to us today.
Oh, no worries.
So, Brendan, tell us a little bit about this film and where the journey began for you. Where did the original idea come from?
The original idea came from a short film that I made in 2004. So it was, it was a short film I made called The 10 Steps. And that was inspired by wanting to make a film with no gore, just atmosphere, which sort of came from watching Robert Wise's The Haunting. And, so just wanting to make a film with just atmosphere. So we made that in 2004, and I'm still working with the same producer. We still own the same company. And we won that film won the best short at the Sitges Fantastic Film Festival in 2005, which is a hardcore horror film festival, and it won best short at the New York International Children's Film Festival. So we immediately realized there was something special about it because it was hitting, both. It was two opposite ends of the audience, like hardcore horror fans and a young audience, children basically. And actually, over the years, I have seen that it's taught in schools. It's very popular with kids actually. Um, but so over the years, I noticed on different platforms like YouTube, and Atom Films was a platform for a while. That it's gone now, but I noticed the comments were all saying, "I wonder what happens next after the short film." And the short film is basically what happens at the start of the Cellar. Starts with a girl babysitting, the lights go out, and she has to try and find the fuse box in the cellar. So that's basically the short film. So that's where it started. 2007, I tried to write a version of it. It didn't really work. It was just an extended version of the short. And then what we did was there was a little bit of interest from the States, but it sort of died off for a bit while we went and made other films. We made other features and stuff. And it was only there in 2016 that we came back to it, and I very seriously tried to devote a lot of time to coming up with something, characters, the mythology, and a whole way of structuring. Because it's quite hard to take a short film, which is a simple little bite-sized thing, and to extend it to a feature length.
You just admitted that the first time you tried to extend the short film into a feature, you felt that it didn't really work. That takes a lot of guts to admit that it didn't really work. How difficult was it for you then to go back to it in 2016 and have another go at it?
Well, if you think that took guts, I'll tell you that I tried another 5 times with different versions, and none of them worked. Well, you see, the problem I had the first time was all I tried to do was stretch the short film out. So I was looking at the short film and going, right, that's the feature, and then I'm just padding it, like trying to make. So that wasn't working. When I went back, I said, right, the short film is going to be a prologue. So it's a nice little opening, and then I'll just come back, and new family move into the house. Um, so that I did a few versions of that. There was a young adult version where all the actors were children. They were kids, and there was no adults in it, and that was quite good. There was a big monster mashup at the end, loads of monsters, like Hieronymus Bosch style monsters. That didn't work though. The biggest problem is I had all the plots. I had all the plot points. I had the ending. I had the middle sort of sequence, getting trapped in the cellar. I had the opening, obviously, with the short film. I had all the plot beats, but in a way, you're not really supposed to start a script with plot beats. Character is supposed to be driving plot. So in a way, I was getting killed every time I went to a script editing meeting or a funding meeting, not a funding meeting, but development meeting with Screen Ireland, which is the funding body here for films, because they were just killing me on the characters. They weren't strong enough. So it was when I finally got some sort of breakthrough was when I went, they're killing me on these characters. And I went, you know what, if I just continue the short, so a daughter goes missing and a mother wants to find her daughter and will do anything to find her. The minute I started to come up, or to have that character in it, those notes and those meetings became a lot easier, because no one was asking, now, why is she going into that dark cellar with the lights on, or why is she doing this? Because they all knew why she was doing it. She wants to find her daughter. So, the minute that happened, it became a lot easier, I have to say.
So how did you know that you had it right that time? Apart from the meetings going a lot better, did you know in your heart that you had it right this time?
Well, not really, because what happened was there was a couple of things happened at once. That idea came in, and I was messing around with lots of other mythologies. I was messing around with Irish mythology. I had druids, and Balor, the one-eyed king of the Fomorians, was in there, and because I didn't want to go with what the short film used, which was basically Judeo-Christian mythology, which is the devil and hell.
Yep.
So at the same time as coming up with these new characters, it wasn't just a mother. It was also, I wanted conflict, and I wanted the mother guilty, and I wanted her not to have a nice relationship with the daughter at the start. So I was having trouble sending innocent characters, punishing them and sending them to hell. So when I decided she was going to be an advertising exec using vulnerabilities of teenage girls against them to sell them crap, that was, it gave me conflict with her daughter, who hates that, and it gave me, it made it a lot easier for me to punish the character. But also at the same time, I hit on the mythology where I went, it has to be mathematically based. So that's where, the inspiration of, say, H.P. Lovecraft's cosmic horror, dimensions, or, so hell is now the void, and, it becomes a different sort of... So I think it all happened at the one time, and I wrote a treatment of it. And sure, at this stage, I was snowblind. I didn't know whether it was good or not, but I sent the treatment to the producer, and he's told me since that the minute he read it, he knew we'd make it. So I think he knew that I had hit upon it that day.
Definitely. Now, you said before about the original short film having an atmosphere. This film has an atmosphere as well, and it was something that I really, really loved about the finished product. How important was that for you to have that atmosphere in the feature length as well?
Well, yeah. I mean, that's, the whole idea was to make the short, atmospheric based rather than go any violence or gore or really dark transgressive stuff. So that's where obviously that's where we came to the feature with. But you can only write a lot of that stuff in. What you need is your team around you. So it's down to the cinematographer, the sound designers, the composer, the editor, the visual effects. So all of those HODs, the production designer, everybody worked with me to create that sort of atmosphere, really.
Definitely. So tell us a little bit about that. How did you guys go about it? Did you talk about it beforehand, about what you wanted from the cinematographer and from the people that you surrounded yourself with?
I've worked with a lot of them. I've worked with the production designer on my last 3 films. I've worked with the cinematographer on all of my 4 features and a lot of my shorts. I've worked with the composer on 3 of my features and loads of my shorts. I've worked with him since 2000. I've worked with the editor on all my features and the original short and, my shorts. So what you're talking about there is that it becomes hard for me to know where something starts and ends, because they're basically a team I've worked with all my life and on all my films. So maybe at this stage, I think they understand how I write scripts. I do write the scripts very visually. I would, visually and orally. So, I will write a line in the script. I don't know if you know script writing format, but I would I would spread it out quite a lot. I wouldn't have big chunks of paragraphs. So I might have, Kira looks to the end of the corridor, and then I'll just go to another line and go, in capital letters, creak. And then the next line I'll say, the door opens slowly. So as a reader even, you're reading it and you're getting every little beat of a visual, it's nearly like a shot list. But it reads well. It doesn't read like a list. And it also has a lot of, oral cues in there, and anything visual would be written in. And then I suppose it's just meetings and a lot of Pinterest and WhatsApp sort of references going back and forwards between us, and meetings as well, yeah.
So talking of people that you worked with on this film, the cast, you've put together an absolutely amazing cast with this film. Tell us a little bit about how that cast came together, and did you write any of the parts this time around with any of those cast members in mind?
No, I didn't, but The cast came. There's like sort of three elements to that cast. One is the sort of market value prestige that the leads, who obviously you need to finance a film. So that would have been Owen Mackin and Alicia Cuthbert. Owen, I've known for years. He was in my first feature, Savage, in a small role, and we've known him for years since that. That was like 12, 13 years ago. The producers know him. One of the producers produced he directed a film there 2 years ago, Here Are the Young Men. So, look, we know Owen really well. He was on board straight away. It was brilliant to work with him, because he's gone from strength to strength. And then, his agent, Chuck, is also Alicia's agent. And so it was just really easy. Like, Chuck was able to get a script to Alicia, and she was like, I was on a Zoom with Alicia within a day, and she was just so nice. It wouldn't have worked, obviously, if she didn't like the script or if she was a difficult character, or she wasn't, none of those things. So she was, really nice and easy to work with. So that was quite easy. Then, there's day players. People come in these sort of, roles like the detective or the professor or Rose Fedderson, the daughter of the old owner of the house. And they're basically really good theatrical or character actors here in Ireland. So in a way, you know them, you know their work, and you don't need to audition them. You just literally put an offer out, and and you're in a safe pair of hands with them. So the only complicated bits then would have been maybe like the kids who play the actors who play the kids of the parents in the film. And because of COVID, there was no auditions, we had to do self-tapes. And there was some other day players in there, like the advertising workers and stuff. And, what we did there again was self-tapes. But, the more experienced actors were easier because the self-tapes are quite evident when they're good. So you can sort of cast them quite quickly. It's, say, like the younger, like Dylan, who plays Stephen. You might have to shortlist a lot and get a few self-tapes. And then I did do a bit of a sort of live Zoom audition where, you give some direction and see how they work. But, that it still all worked out. We had a very good casting director, Emma Gunnery, so I'll put it all down to her.
Definitely. Alicia, to me, is one of the most underrated actresses in Hollywood. Of course, most people know her for her comedies, but she did such an amazing job on 24, and she's in one of my favourite horror films, a film called Captivity. What was she like to work with, and were you really aware of her acting ability in horror before she was cast?
Yeah, I'd seen Captivity, all right, yeah.
Yeah.
What was she like to work with? Well, look, she, I'll tell you two stories about her. One is when I was talking on the Zoom with her, she was everything I was thinking about the character, she was saying the same things, right down to Alicia's like normally when you see Alicia, her day-to-day look is a blonde look, and I just didn't feel that was right for the character, and I didn't want to come out and say it straight away, and I was sort of getting around to it, so I was just waiting for the right moment, and she just said it. She went, I was thinking of dyeing my hair, and I went, oh, brilliant. So she was so in tune with what I was trying to do that it was perfect. The other thing is I mean, look, they were so supportive, all of the cast. But you don't realize as well, it's not just supportive. When she's so funny as well. So when someone's on set and they're able to crack a joke, it really makes the mood on set so much easier, And she'll talk to all the crew. I remember some days just looking around and seeing her chatting away with Rick, and like you just know everyone's getting on then. No one feels that there's a hierarchy on the set. But I'll give you a great example. Is on my last day filming in the house, we were never going to be able to go back to that house when it would look the same way. The art department were about to put it back to the way it normally looks. And I was half an hour over time, and I probably had a half a day's shooting still to do, and it was the end scene of the film, one of the most important scenes. And I just was saying to the cast, we're going to have to start just shooting one take on every shot. And I think a lot of actors might freak out. They might freak out at me for putting them under that amount of pressure, or they might just freak themselves and start fluffing their lines. But, that they were so calm and saying, we've got your back, don't worry about it. They were so in keeping really calm. And then when they would do their takes, they were nailing the takes each time. I didn't have to go back and do them a second time. So, that just gives you an idea about how supportive the cast actually were.
Definitely. Well, Brendan, I know we are right out of time, so I just want to say thank you so much for being on our show tonight, and I just want to say congratulations again on such a fantastic film.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome, no problem.